right there. We could go and just let our hair down, just dance.
Where were those? Were those on the square?
No, they weren't on the square. They were on the north side of town. North side of town, and there were one or two that was located down on the east side of town, which the little place that I was calling as Red Grove. There was a couple of little cafes down there.
That's fascinating. Now,
it was fascinating.
What were they like? What were they were separate buildings?
They were separate buildings. Yes, they were separate. There was we had a big we had two real, I said, huge cafes here, and one was called Charlie Hart's Cafe, and the other one was called Johnson's Cafe. And they weren't that far apart, but this is where the blacks went for entertainment and stuff like, and things like that.
Did certain ones go to Johnson and other ones go to
Charlie's? Well, Johnson's was built long before Charlie's was, but we favored mostly to go to Charlie's because it seems like he kept the music update to our satisfaction and things like that. But they were both very nice places, very nice.
What was it like inside?
Oh, they had the booths, like booths, and the booths were like very nice woodwork booths, and these were hand-built booths. It wasn't nothing that just you just slapped together. These were hand-built booths and counters, and then they had like tables in their tables, maybe like with 4 chairs, and they had a pool table in there, and if a person wanted to go sit down and play a game of dominoes, then they could, and things like that. And then they had jukebox in there, and they had plenty of space for dancing. Both of these places did.
Now, how would you would you go in with a couple girlfriends and you see some boys and dance?
Dance, right?
Or dance with a girlfriend?
No, we would dance with the girls if there was no boys there at the time. No, but we had some we danced with the boys, but back in those days, that was one of the traditions that blacks really did do. We were jitterbugging and stuff, so we really, just did our own thing. We did the jitterbug and things like that, and and had our can skirts on, and it was nice.
Well, back to the movie, the black movie theater. Mm-hmm. You're telling me then that they weren't open the full week.
No,
they would just
right 2 times a week, on a Friday night and a Sunday afternoon, and the White Theater was, if I'm not mistaken, it was open like daily. But I'm inclined to believe that, and I'm quite sure that I'm right, that there were more whites here than blacks. So they had the best, the best resource of going to the movies, because, like a lot of days, blacks were out in the cotton fields working and stuff like that. So you just didn't come home and run to the movies and stuff. So your time was mostly like weekend things.
Now, when you went to the movie theater, mm-hmm. the woman that sold you the ticket, was mm-hmm. she black?
No, that was Mrs. Sparks. They owned both theaters here.
So she wanted to keep track of the money.
She kept track of a mini 12 cent. Back in them days, that's all it cost, was 12 cents to go to the movie.
Now, was there like a candy counter, or did you buy stuff and take it in?
No, they had a popcorn machine in there, and they had popcorn. Let me see. They had popcorn in there, I know for sure. And then if you wanted a soda or something like that, you had to carry it in. Mm-hmm. there was a malt shop, like a ice cream shop, not just right around the corner from there. So if we wanted to get us a malt or a milkshake before we went in, we got it before we went into the theater, and we took it in. And there was nothing, never said about nothing like that.
Let's take a little break here,
Okay.
and I just have a few more questions. This is really fascinating, particularly about those cafes.
Right.
Were there any other businesses run by blacks?
Let me see. No, well, there was a barber shop. Mr. Granison Dean, he owned the barber shop here, which my daddy bootlegged a lot of haircuts up there on a Saturday or something like that. But let me see, a barber shop, and then there was a couple of beauty shops here. But now, as today, we don't even have like a beauty shop nor a barber shop here. We have to go clear out of town to get our hair done or to get a haircut. It's terrible. I lived in the best era of Cooper.
I want to ask you about church.
Oh, okay. I grew up in the church here, New Zion Baptist Church here. I joined that church when I was 12 years old under the direction of Reverend B.T. Mitchell, which really has passed, been gone quite a few years now. But I grew up in that church, and on Sunday morning we would go to Sunday school. We would go to Sunday school on a Sunday. And then when Sunday school was over with, we didn't go home. We just stayed right there on the church ground, and we played until, just say for instance, if church was over, say if Sunday school was over with, like at I say 10:30. Well, we children would play out there until 11 o'clock for 11 o'clock services, and then our parents would come there, and then we would go back in church for 11 o'clock services, and then we would be there until about maybe say 12:30 or 12:45, and I'm telling you, I'd be starved by the time I'd get out of church. Just be starved. And then we would go home, and we would eat and play until about 4 o'clock in the evening. Then we would come back to church. And this was a program called BYPU, Baptist Youth, BYP, something, Baptist. It was mostly for young people. And we would go to BYPU, and we would stay there until about 7:30 in the evening, and then meet our parents there for night services. This is when all churches, went to church at night, and we would be in church until about almost 10 o'clock every night. So Sunday was a big day like for church here back in those days. Now they don't have like night services and stuff, But I had always said if I ever got grown, I would not ever attend night services because I'd be so sleepy the next day after all of that church going. I would be so sleepy on a Monday morning trying to get ready to go to school.
That was a long day.
Yeah, it was a very long day. But people really went to church back in those days. It seems like to me that we've kind of just gotten away from our basics, stuff. But
What about revivals?
Oh yeah, we would have revivals probably a couple of times a year. That was always